Hey, so welcome, Lucia. I'm so excited that you're joining me for this really fun little delve into your Chiron return. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
So, just so that everybody knows, Lucia sent me a question about her chart. She said, "Okay, I'm just moving to this whole new part of the United States, like several states away,
Uh-huh.
and I'm curious what's next for me." And then as I looked at your chart, Lucia, I just had to laugh because it just happens to be your Chiron return. And for anybody who doesn't know what a Chiron return is, it basically means that the planet Chiron, which is actually more of an asteroid, but around age 50, and that can be anywhere between 49 to 52, but around that time, the direction changes. And so it becomes Chiron is the wounded healer. So the wounded healer then comes into that phase of our lives to
Mm-hmm.
give us an opportunity to look at, well, where is that earlier wounding? And how can I heal that and then use that healing to heal the world, to heal the people around me.
Mm.
So now it's, you're if you're thinking of life, when you're born and you grow up, and initially it's all about you and it's about how you manifest yourself into the world, and then around this time in your life is, okay, well, how can I serve and how can I more give back? And the more that we are able to heal that wound, the more authentic we
Mm.
are able to share the soul's gift in the world. So the fun thing was that when I was looking at your chart and this Chiron comes up, and then you tell me, oh my gosh, I was on the plane to my whole new life at the moment of my Chiron return. I thought that that was fantastic. So you
Mm.
want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's been, I've been living in California for 27 years and I moved out to California at a time where it was like a whole right before my it was my formative years and right before Saturn return, right? I was 25, 26 when I officially moved here, and then I had a child at 28. And there's like some cycles that are like finishing up in the past couple of years, ending of my marriage of like 23 years, um, ending of this era of like different communities that I'm part of. And I've been really on this path of my life's purpose for, as you know, many, many years. And it shows up in so many ways. But this path as a somatic sex educator and working in this field for a long time has come into another phase over the past 5 years of also working with psychedelics, in particular psilocybin. And so moving to Detroit literally on February 1st. And I was like, oh, this is like, and maybe I misunderstood. I thought you said it was like February 1st was when my Chiron was returning. I don't know if that was when I read the message. I'm like, I'm actually on a plane, like
Uh-huh.
right now reading this, and I was like, I'm
Yeah.
so amazed that this is happening. And I didn't think it, obviously, no coincidence. I think this happens every time we talk. You're like, oh my God, this is exactly what's happening in your chart. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what made me fall in love with human design, 5 years ago. I was like, this is so spot on, everything. And since I've been following my design much more since our very first interactions back at like Lulu Carpenter's back in 2017, it was very clear to me that, understanding my path and my true design is going to be supportive. And so I did
Yeah.
know at some level of awareness. I remember a long time ago, you had actually said at 50 is actually when you are going to start to shift into that phase in your life where people are going to truly be able to see you and you're going to be able to do things in that way. And it literally been like that since the day I turned 50 back last year, August 16th. The next day I flew out to Detroit to speak at the Detroit Psychedelic Conference on my topic, healing the
Mhm.
womb space with somatic sex practices and psilocybin. And then ever since then, my whole path has just been forged in a different way. People are like, oh, this is something very unique, and Lucia has been doing this for a long time. Like, these are the things I'm hearing and saying.
Yeah.
But, and I'll say, there's a lot of shadow stuff coming up with this. I mean, this is something
Mhm.
that is not coming without the pushback, right? So and I feel it spiritually, energetically,
Mm.
because I'm coming into a brand new community with something that is not very prevalent at all in Detroit. I can feel some people kind of going, wait, who is this like lady coming into predominantly Black community to share, this kind of different understanding of sexual wellness, health, and spirituality. And so it's definitely coming up, like things are coming up, and the things that, uh, you know, the too muchness, like, is a big thing. Like, am
Mhm.
I too forward? Breaking in
Mm.
boundaries, cultural
Yeah.
boundaries,
Yeah.
societal boundaries. And here I am teaching like consent around sexuality, and there's other things coming up around like, oh, Lucia's to this. I'm like, wait a second. Ooh, this is like an old story. This is an old pattern that, like, but just by being who I am, that people can feel very confronted around my own openness and awareness around my body, around my sensuality, my sexuality. And I think the other layer that I've noticed is because I'm not in that what we call partner privilege, I'm not married
Mhm.
anymore, that it comes across different. Like, it was okay
Mhm.
if I'd said certain things around sexuality in the context of relationship and marriage. But now,
Mhm.
because I'm having these conversations around even more in-depth topics, that it's like, oh, well, what's her real story? Like, why is she coming to
Yeah.
Detroit? And I'm like, oh, is that my story or is that something else? So that's what's coming up. It's a primarily business and life are not really separate for me. Like, everything is, I don't compartmentalize these things because it's like a lived experience and knowledge base. Oh, and I'm applying to grad school in San
Oh,
Francisco.
oh wow.
SCIIS online. So I'm
Great.
applying to the Women's Gender Spirituality and Social Justice program, master's program. So that's another thing that is happening. And so it's all at once. Mariah can't
Big
just do like
change.
one little thing. Like,
No,
like
it's
that.
it's you full force. Yeah, no, I love it. So thank you. Let's take a look at your chart because you're saying a bunch of different things that I
Sure.
want to be able to point at.
Okay.
Um, so first I want to do just a quick view at your chart.
Sure.
This is your birth chart. And as you know, the birth chart never changes. We're never ever going to be that birth chart again because that was just the moment of
Right.
your birth.
Uh-huh.
But it instilled in you in a particular way in how you show up in the world. So some of the things that you've been talking about is this powerful way of being yourself. And can you see my mouse when I do
Yep.
this?
Hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. So here's the 34th gate of power. Power in this is here Neptune, right? This really kind of hidden way in which your power shows up. But boy, because it connects to your sense of self, this is the behavior of the self. And
Mhm.
very often, initially, when people get connected to this particular gate, it can have some sense of learning or having to learn to love yourself and really going through this process. And the beautiful thing is that you've got so much power behind you to be, this is connected to the spleen, your intuition, to really be yourself in this present moment,
Mm.
no matter what other people are saying.
That is so spot on right now. Like, I can't even tell you that is showing up more than anything, because
Yeah.
I will, vulnerably say I've historically been a doubter of myself. Like, I'll know that something is true, and there'll be so many ways people or other spirit tries to convince me otherwise. and I'll sometimes go down that path. And so this is the first time in a long time where I have felt like um it's been coming up. Like I'm I'm super compassionate and I lead a lot with my heart. And
Mm,
so sometimes I become very I don't want to say gullible, but I'm overcompensating instead of actually standing in my true energy.
yeah.
I have so much of it. I give a lot of it away freely, and now I'm ready to like take that back.
Yeah,
Yourself.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. So fascinating because there's so much that I want to just point at in your Chiron return. So I'm just going to make this part really quick, where people can get an idea that, okay, you have these four centers defined. It really shows that you have a direct line of speaking your power to your throat in a way that, over time, because this is the challenge, the channel of talent, like there is a talent in how you speak things out into the world, bless you. and um and over time, through speaking more, it becomes more easier to be able to find the right tone and find the right way to express yourself. So there's so much more, of course, in any chart, and we could spend like two
Right.
hours just on that. But what I want to do is now share your Chiron return.
Okay.
And one thing to know about the Chiron return, that even though it has a specific date, most likely most people, in your case it was slightly different, most people don't necessarily notice the Chiron return moment. You happen to be on the plane.
At that,
um,
if that's the date, February
that's the
1st.
date. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So, and for me, I happened to get a car accident the day before my Chiron return. So it's like sometimes these really big, unexpected things can happen really on or around the Chiron return. But the Chiron return actually starts to shift, make shifts around 1 to 2 years before the Chiron return. And then it has the same kind of 2 years or so afterwards to really integrate and bring this new way of being for you into the world. And so you can already see at this particular chart, it's very different from the chart that we saw before,
Uh-huh.
right? Where
Uh-huh.
you had these four centers initially activated. Now you have 8 out of the 9 centers are active. So it's a very different way that you're getting to learn and access different parts of yourself.
Wow.
Okay. So the first thing that shows up is you have this particular center undefined, and not just undefined, it's completely open, except for your Chiron is actually activating the 51st gate. Do you remember? I know you studied with me for a while. So do
Well,
you?
I remember. So I think I have the 25th gate.
No, no,
No,
you don't.
no. Isn't that the money? Let's see.
No, this is part of the money channel. The
Okay, so 50,
yeah,
25, 51. You're gonna have to remind me because
yeah, no problem.
that would be great.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Sorry for putting you on the spot.
No, I think it's important. I was like, wait a second, I know this channel because I was just looking it up and
Yeah, no problem.
um
So the 51st gate is the gate of shock.
mm,
And the gate of shock is a gate that shocks people into a different experience of themselves. It takes
mm,
them out of the realm that they've been walking in, which was not on their path. And
mm,
you can say or do things that shocks them out of it back onto their path. So it actually has it's part of the spiritual circuitry. It has a very spiritual, which totally falls in alignment with what you were just talking about, the whole spiritual way in how you're teaching what you're teaching. The thing
mm,
to notice, though, is that it still is in an undefined center. So it gets activated by other people. It gets activated by other people. And when the moment is right, this shocking thing will come out for them, because it's not about you shocking yourself into your reality. You're already there.
right.
Look at how aligned this is. Look at how aligned this is. So you're shocking them into a different way of seeing the value or seeing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That
so
makes so much sense.
that is going to be the main theme of integrating your Chiron and from now on forward. Now, what you have here to help you with is a lot. Like you can see, you're bringing in so much. So I just want to talk about the few things. Again, we could talk about your Chiron return for another 2 hours. But I just want to bring in a couple of the things that are really gifts for you that you can bring in here.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing is this connection is now activating your inspiration. So
Mm.
you're bringing in this aligned inspiration that comes in and drops in to your thinking, your mental processes to be able to be expressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this is called the channel of the thinker.
Uh-huh.
A nickname is the channel of the stinker because the thinker can think a lot.
Right.
But it is a part of the channeling ability that is coming in for you to be able to capture that inspiration when you're talking to other people, that when you are truly aligned, that comes out and is being transferred to other people. It's about transferring that inspiration to them. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
In a way that this is the channel of the organizer. So this is also a new channel that you're getting the opportunity to be with. This inspiration, this information needs to be spoken in an organized way through which you can influence how people are experiencing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then over here, this is a beautiful channel. This is the channel of the beat or the channel of alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's very much aligned. It really aligns you with your inner sense of yourself, your receptivity. There is a quality to this that is no longer, oh, I'm going to think about where I'm going to go with my life.
Right.
Right. This quality that has shifted into this for you is you can think whatever you want. That's not going to guide me. What's really guiding me is this particular connection where my power now lines up with that receptivity of the universe. The universe is guiding me and I am aware of it. I am feeling it and I'm following it.
Yeah, that was when you had sent me this, I looked it up a little bit and I was like, wow, um, what you just said about alchemy, like literally that word has been part of my vocabulary of many years. But I happen to have a retreat coming up in May called Cosmic Alchemy, and it's
I
about
love it.
sacred sexuality, psilocybin in the senses, and preparing for it has been all about alchemizing different parts of our sensuality. So when I see,
Beautiful.
these are also the tantric channels, right? That energy.
Yeah,
So
correct.
I'm very much that 214 is so not only in my business life but also in my like personal life. I'm just magnetizing these, you know, people who really want to understand this particular
Yeah.
format and are very excited. But I think what's really been really supportive, Mariah, is this 2461.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about it that is allowing me to actually connect deeper to the
Yeah.
divine in this
Yeah.
way that I don't think I've connected to in a long time. I started to kind
Yeah.
of feel it last year pulling when I was in Egypt, but and those channels were really open and present there. But
Yeah.
being in Detroit, I feel it more than ever. But I'm also noticing there's these old patterns that are still in the body that keep kind of pushing me off my center
And
sometimes, and so I'm curious about that.
yeah.
Like, what's that about?
Yeah. No, for sure. That's always there, right? We're always around all these other environments with whether that is people or transits that you're going to have this opportunity to really touch base with yourself and say, okay, well, really, what is this about for me?
Uh-huh.
For you, because this is all about you walking your path, and through that giving other people an opportunity for transformation through empowerment. And when that happens for you, when you're experiencing your empowerment, you're also simultaneously transforming and bringing empowerment to other people to have the same kind of experience. So people can basically come into all these different areas where you may find where there's, nothing colored in. This is where the outside world will affect you. Sure. And then especially in these areas, this is an area for learning for you. And this is an area for learning. So yeah, you'll have a critical environment. These are the environment of people that you're bringing in that can either really be super enthusiastic, or they can be very critical of what you do. And at the same time over here, this is limitation. Right. It's about being able to see, well, what are the resources that I have available to me, and what am I going to do with that? Well, you may notice that there's some rocking around that as well. And then again, around that 51st gate, gosh, bringing shock to other people, that can be uncomfortable. So the thing is that don't take it personal. This has nothing to do. See, it's not connected. It's nothing to do with you personally.
I have had that feeling, gosh, because we were talking earlier. I am so heart led, and I tend to be a people pleaser most of my life, and I've been kind of recovering from that slowly. I do take things very personally, and so it's really good to hear, like, wait, this could be other people's stuff. And let it be other people's things rather than me, like, wait a second, I think recently I was told that I needed to like check myself and go, heal these shadows. And I was like, listen, I have been doing my shadow work for, I don't even know how long.
Right.
I was
it
like,
may not be yours.
Part of me, it's there. I was like, I understand it. I was like, I'm not gonna keep going back and living in my shadow. I'm like, Lucia means light. I live in light. I don't live in darkness. There's light in the dark. I was like, that's what I live in. So not that I was not going to go in, but it was one of those moments of like, it sounds like it's your fucking shadow work. Okay. This is not my shadow work. This is yours. This is yours. Well, I didn't mean to swear for those. I do mean to swear because I'm kind of like that. I don't want to apologize.
Exactly.
I want to apologize for my potty mouth sometimes. Okay. But thank you.
That's you standing in your power. It's you standing in your power. Yes. So actually, I want to say something about that, about feeling other people. And so you see that now with your Chiron return, you have this activation here, which is another space of learning for you, where your sensitivity to your environment is giving you an opportunity to also check in with you and say, wait, where am I stepping over my own sensitivity, or not taking care of my own needs? And the ability that you have to really bring your community together through sensing those needs. But again, there is a potential to take it personal. Right. The one thing that you see here is that there is a split, right? There's an area where these two centers are not connecting to the rest of the design. So it may not always be clear to you when you're experiencing the needs of others. You may be on full force working on trying to solve, something in the community, and then recognizing that you yourself actually have a very different feeling around that it wasn't actually yours. So that's one thing to be aware of.
Okay. Definitely.
And again, there's so much more that we could talk even about this, like how you experience that and the potential of conditioning around this. So it's about being aware of not having a center, like this very strong emotional center normally is not defined in your birth chart. And
Mm.
so there has been a potential to act in a way to cure other people or save other people so that
Uh-huh.
they don't feel as deeply or as
Mhm.
painfully, so that
Mm.
you don't have to feel that twice as much. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So that 1949, that's like a uh, isn't it like synthesis or something like that?
Yeah, it's another word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so like being able to kind of like take what you have. I mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah, yeah. Checking
Yeah.
myself a little bit.
Check in with yourself a lot.
A
All your
lot.
whole your whole design talks about you going your own path, your own way in your particular manner, and that has nothing to do with the rest of the world because you're bringing in your light through that. So it's really important that you stay true and listen to you.
Yeah, this is the part I think I am so appreciative of that reminder, Mariah, because it can be really lonely to walk that path when you
Yeah.
want to be in community and like pe
Yeah.
people will see that part that you bring, but I'm not sure if it always fits with like the whole community connection.
and and the thing is that the world is changing, and we need people to be more authentically step up to carry their light to show that.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's pushback, and it can be really painful. I'm really sorry that you're experiencing that,
Oh,
and at the same time you've got so much courage,
thank
girl. You've got
you.
so much
Yeah, thank
courage.
you.
Yeah.
I feel it and I feel the support. I do feel support too. I don't want to dismiss the supportedness I feel in my life as well right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's my own internalized experiences of like always kind of being cutting edge for years and years and years. And I'm actually at that place where I'm like, oh, I actually know what I do very, very well.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing like a lot of I still it's like this ego meltdown of like what everybody else is doing the same thing still, right? It's like that.
Yes.
Oh, now everybody wants to do that.
Right.
But it's like, okay, so there's this piece of like, do they go to somebody who's been in this journey for years and lifetimes, or yeah, it's like it's this ego piece I think I'm working on letting go of, like in allowing room and spaciousness for everybody to be
Yeah.
their
And
truth.
don't, I'm going to say don't let go of your ego, because your ego is very much well defined.
Uh-huh.
you may
Thank you.
you may well, actually, the ego, this ego is
Uh-huh.
not, but
Uh-huh.
your sense of self is very strongly defined. So as long as you adhere to your own sense of self, then there's nobody or nothing that you have to prove to other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're the second person this month who said that to me. Like, don't let
Ah,
go of your ego. You need that.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of do. I need to know like that. It's more around. I like to look at it as like self-worthiness and wisdom.
Yes.
My
Yes.
worthiness and wisdom, my sageness, like those things,
Beautiful.
they come from a place of when I step into that, I allow myself to just be
Yeah.
Lucia in a different way,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, beautiful. I am just so excited for you, how you are just going through this shift and just like really feeling the energy, and allowing yourself to
Yeah.
be carried by it. And thank you so much for
Yes, thank you,
doing
Mariah.
this.
Thank you for seeing this, and I hope that this supports other people in really being able to utilize human design and these
Mhm.
transits in a way that can be really supportive. I definitely have found once again how incredible it is to actually see this in action. And then of course, Mariah, you're incredible. You have such a natural know-how of how human design navigates for so many years of experiencing it and being it,
Mm,
teaching it, and that I feel very blessed. So thank you.
thank you. I'm just going to stop the recording right now and then maybe we'll have a chance to chat.
Thanks.